Hello, everyone. My name is Roger Rugi, and I am a mentor with Pathfinder Resilience. And in this series, we're working on enhancing our sleep. Now, if you checked out the first couple of videos, we talked about setting up the room and the expectation for the brain and getting that program for sleep. We talked about why we want to be in the 7.5 to 8 hour window of sleep for the vast majority of us. So we're detoxifying, building the best resilience we possibly can. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the lighting in your room, because as it turns out, this is a very, very critical aspect and very often one of the reasons we're not getting good quality sleep. So here's how we're going to go about it. In our bedroom, which hopefully we've designated only for sleep and sex so that the mind is programmed for that when it's in that space, we want to black out that room as much as possible, 100% if you can pull it off. Now, what does that mean? Well, it might mean you get some blackout shades, especially if you have to sleep during the daytime because you're on like a graveyard shift or something like that, and your sleep period is during the day. But maybe there's a bright moon out there, right? We want to reduce the lighting. Now, why do we want 100% blackout? Well, inside our brain, there's a little tiny gland about the size of a grain of rice, and it's called the pineal gland or pineal gland. Both pronunciations are correct. That pineal gland is really interesting little chemical factory, and it's responsible for two primary neurotransmitters, serotonin, which wakes us up, and melatonin, which helps us go to sleep. Well, when it is dark, that helps us tremendously to produce the melatonin. When light is coming in, it stimulates serotonin. And so any light in the room tends to wake us up. If you can get your room 100% pitch black, awesome. And that might mean taking a little piece of tape, like electrical tape or something like that, and covering all the little things like on the smoke detector. If you have a TV in your room, then covering the little light on there that says it's about to be powered on, that kind of thing. You cannot get the room dark enough. I'm talking can't see the hand in front of your face dark is perfect. So the lighting becomes very important, reducing that as much as possible. Now, if you can't do that, you can't for some reason get that through all these things like blackout curtains and all that, a really simple way of doing it is wearing a sleep mask. Now, they make a lot of these sleep masks, and you may have to play with them for a little bit. Like if you have really long eyelashes, a lot of them sit too flush on the face. And so that could be a little bit of a problem. But there are some really good ones that lift off of the face, are very comfortable, even for those of us that sleep on the side, and it blocks out that light 100%. Now, blacking out the room, that's awesome. But let's talk about the actual lighting in your room. One of the things that has become a problem, when we have blue light, which is found in fluorescent and LED lighting, blue light has something called a flicker rate. It's actually pulsing. Now, we can't see it, but our subconscious picks it up. So we actually are taking that flashing pulsing of the blue light in the LED in, and that stimulates the serotonin, which wakes us up. Normally, we're in these rooms with very, very bright light, and then we decide it's time to go to sleep, and we wonder, why can't I get to sleep? Why is it so hard for me to fall asleep? Well, it's because your brain has been stimulated. And friends, every piece of electronic you look at these days, your iPads, your computer screen, your cell phones, your television, they all have this blue flicker rate happening. So LED and fluorescent lighting, that's one thing to get out of there. And if you can replace it with incandescent or halogen, the flicker rate is far, far less in those, doesn't end up stimulating you nearly as much. If we can also get warm lighting and not that super bright, like I'm in a hospital LED, even better, because that super bright blue light definitely stokes that serotonin wake-up chemical. The other really interesting thing is, and I've done this in my bedroom to great effect, I've replaced all my lights with red lights. Why red? Well, melatonin is produced as the sun is setting. And have you ever noticed that the hues of the sun as it sets in the horizon are typically reds, soft yellows, oranges? It turns out that color spectrum is something that also stimulates the release of melatonin. In other words, we're genetically wired when that sun goes down to prepare for sleep. And so the pineal gland is stimulated to release the melatonin that helps us get to sleep. So really getting that lighting in your room reduced back to halogen or incandescent lighting is great. You can also use LED if it's the warmer, softer colors, but again, replacing everything with a red light in your bedroom, changing the screen on your phone, for example, to a red screen so that you're getting that non-stimulation of that screen, huge. The lighting becomes absolutely critical. Now, we'll get more into electronics because there's really some interesting studies that have come out on that. But for the moment, get that room completely blacked out as much as you possibly can, or wear a sleep mask. Pretty easy way to do it, right? A lot less expensive than maybe buying blackout curtains and all that stuff. Change the lighting in your room. Get all of that super bright light out. Replace it with a warm incandescent halogen, or even better, replace it with a red light. You can even get light bulbs now that are programmable, and you can change the colors. So if you don't want to have red in your bedroom all the time for whatever reason, you can then adapt that with the flick of a switch, right? You just control it with a remote. This is going to help tremendously. Now, in the next piece of our series, I'm going to talk to you about a bunch of different ways to keep enhancing our sleep process. And we're going to take a look at the electronics aspect of things and discover a few things about that I think is going to be a game changer for some of you. So I'll see you at the next video.